Okay, so I'm streaming more MYST. Apologies to anyone who was looking forward to, like the one or two people who are looking forward to seeing me stream more Mass Effect. I may put that on hold until I finish this. Because I have been getting a lot of views. Not a lot of engagement, but a lot of views, and again, YouTube has only given me the option for MYST 1993. Because the game has not changed at all in any way since. I mean, at least the title is like MYST 2021, so not really, deceive anyone here. And I think the camera's gone. Try to center it around the speakers. I still feel it's a little weird that like loading the game overwrites the autosave. It also helps you to understand like which landmarks are actually relevant to tower rotation. So we have stone ship, mechanical, uh, Atlantic, and Channelwood, which is what we're doing next. I'm actually kind of wondering if I should give this game a. Oh, it depends. I mean, we're not reviewing the VR version of the game, but I still wonder if I should give it a negative, information negative for not including um a camera feature. I mean, maybe it's there and I just don't know it. Like I need to look it up because like it's not indicated in the controls at all. Either camera feature or screenshot feature. It has a performance boost for Max. Apparently, Oculus Quest has a built-in screenshot feature. Okay, so I'm probably not going to give it a negative. Um, One, knowing that the Oculus Quest and possibly other VR headsets, I'm not sure, have like their own built-in screenshot filter or feature. I still think it would be better, particularly for VR, if it was built into the game seamlessly. Because like apparently there's like the article I found about it was like you had to like push down certain buttons and it's considered like a secret like shortcut for taking screenshots or something. Um, I would know like how convenient or inconvenient not owning an Oculus Quest. So I guess it's um, I couldn't tell you how convenient or inconvenient the screenshot filter feature is, and then again other VR platforms like the Vive and uh, Oculus for PC. Um, would you be able to do screenshots just as easily on those platforms? I think it's a better idea to have that feature just integrated straight into the game rather than so that you can design it around the game. You could basically just have it so that the stranger owns a camera. Granted, I mean, given the time frame where this game takes place, um, it is supposed to canonically take place. Um, there could be a little bit of a backlash against the feature, just in terms of the canonical aspect. But like, where Mist, like I mentioned before, where Mist, how Mist as a game fits into the canon of the series is iffy already, at least in some regards. Like the actual events, roughly speaking, and like, I think it would be kind of neat to try and do like a ground up remake of Mist. But also, like, I think when I had the idea of a ground up remake of Mist, I also thought of like having it kind of accompanied by a remaster of the original, or remaster of Real Mist to like really update it and make it like roughly equivalent to uh modern uh graphics. And this gets pretty close. Like it's still very indie in terms of like its overall quality, especially with regards to trying to integrate the characters and make them CGI. Like that is pretty much the hard that's the thing I'm probably most harshly critical about at this point. Um it uh it is I can see why they did it um just with regard to converting it to VR because they needed to do they need to make things at least somewhat stereoscopic. Um, so like converting the old like low resolution video they had, you know, from the original game stereoscopic. I mean, there's programs. There's actual like programs you can run that will like automatically convert things to 3D, a 2D video to 3D. And it might be passable. Um, but then like you still have to like worry about how to like implement 3D video in VR. Like I'm not sure if there's like anything in the Unreal Engine that allows for that, like to like add a 3D video file to integrate a 3D video file into the game rather than you know 3D QuickTime. A 3D QuickTime plugin. People familiar with the original, I think all people familiar with the original MYST and how it worked would actually get that joke. But for those that don't get it, I'll explain it. The original game, if I recall correctly, I think also Riven as well, used a, a video format called QuickTime, which used to be fairly popular, especially for being able to integrate it into adventure games like MYST and Riven. And it allowed like the feature too of basically inserting a video file, like into the scenery. So like, for example, like one of the very first frames you have, like the dock or whatever, where you enter, there's some birds flying around, and that's just a little tiny, like low resolution, QuickTime video that was like just inserted into the corner of the screen of birds flying around, and you can kind of tell because there's compression artifacts. You know, it's a little noisy. Like it's not just the static sky and the birds flying around. It's literally like a square of like no of compression noise, and the birds, um, and along with the birds flying around. So you can like tell if you're paying any attention whatsoever that this is a little box of video in the middle of a static image of the scenery. It might be fun to like just play MYST Masterpiece Edition. And again, we're just gonna criticize just how two-dimensional. Actually, see the building in the foreground is kind of. I mean, it's not really the foreground because it's a freaking 2D image. It may look even more 2D in VR. I mean, I get that, like, rendering all that out. It would be tricky, especially for VR. I'm still kind of surprised that, I mean, maybe there's, like, I don't know anything about, like, actual, like, coding, but I think I may have mentioned this in previous streams, but I think like there's probably no getting around the fact that like you have to ultimately render 2 images to make VR work. Um, or the final result of your rendering process has to be 2 images. Um, one for each eye. But I would imagine there are ways to streamline the rendering process, and I'm not sure if anyone's ever really thought about how to do that, or because I have a video of what I technically would call frixels, which would be 3-dimensional pixels, basically. So the idea that it would be like one rendering path that sort of encompasses the perspective from both eyes, and then can be effectively decoded into um, 2 images. Because you're technically just rendering one screen or one scene in 3D. Like that's what you're doing. You're rendering one perspective, or at least what is perceived as one perspective. You know, I actually kind of wonder if VR headsets like would give the option of for people who have like lost an eye to just like sacrifice the screen to boost performance because why the hell not when you only have one eye anyway? Okay. I think so far, and I don't know, my streak may keep going. I've only had all my notes on one page at the beginning of in the middle of my competition book. Like, these are all my notes for the entire game in terms of puzzles. Like, so far I have like I think three. Oh, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 pages of notes just reviewing the game. It's probably gonna end up like being like 7 or 8 or something like that. For the actual puzzles, I've only so far had to make 1 page of notes. I also have to mention like that it feels like it makes sense to have the hint lower and like staggered to the view, not just from like a practical um standpoint, but from like like whatever issues they may have encountered trying to have it be, one balcony or whatever. But like from a perspective of now here it's a lot clearer that this is a painting. It's like in the original game, and I don't know, Real Mist may have also improved it, but like in the original game, it looked like this was just some sort of a viewport out of like looking out toward the tree. Whereas here it's very clear this is just a painting. It's just an observation more than anything. So okay. This is actually a pretty simple puzzle. Just figure out the combination and figure out how to. Oh, they're dials rather than buttons. I mean, sure, it makes sense because VR. They want to have more dials and handles and things that would feel a lot more tactile. And I guess as again going to what I mentioned earlier, it's kind of better than even on PC with a keyboard and mouse too. Wonder how that feels on a controller. I'm a safe cracker now, apparently. So that's all we need to do for our notes for this part. Actually, I think it's a good idea to have it be in the middle of the book. I mean, it's gonna come back to bite me later when I get like several games in, and then have to like, okay, I don't know where I'm gonna put the rest of my notes. I'm gonna have to be continued on page. Well, these aren't numbered. Um, on page after the MYST review. Um, where's the matchbox? Is there? Oh, there's no matchbox. Well, that's interesting. They got rid of the matchbox. I guess they. What I imagine is that they did like a wait and steal system here. Um, just because, again, VR, like having to go and pick up a little matchbox to strike the match in VR. Like unless they made it like a huge match, which they could have. Like I think like the idea of like striking a match in VR is actually kind of cool. I mean, they could have either made it a large match or just given the match a large hitbox or a large grab box or interact box. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'd actually like, put it in my notes because I feel like this deserves a note. Like I understand it would be tricky to implement, but I also think like it'd be cool to be able to like you know it would be satisfying in an interesting way to be able to strike the match in VR. Yeah, I need to actually like add like an O to my notes because this is just an observation. I mean, it would be I don't know. It'd be a control observation, I guess. Like I have it on the record here. Um, huh? I have to press and hold it. Or does this just like lower you? No? I think it may only lower you down all the way to okay. It's like the essence of the puzzle's still kind of there a little bit. I think they made this into a sliding door. I think it was like a. That's probably another thing that's um. Okay, that's way too fast. I wonder if you just need to turn it down a little bit. Okay. I wonder if turning it down a little bit makes it slower. I don't know. It'll be that much slower. It's maybe a good net neutral between the two aspects of it. Oh, this is actually kind of cool. I can't remember what was in the original, but I don't think it was as interesting as this. I think it's just like one chamber with a book in it. So this could bring it up to a net positive, like between just I think you're gonna have an information positive for the presentation. Um, yeah, the tree elevator's descent is just slightly too fast and may cause unnecessary frustration. As I've always said, figuring out the solution and executing the solution should be, executing the solution should always be at least a little simpler than figuring out the solution. Another information positive for I also might give an information positive for the maybe two information positives for the books, the journals. So the first positive is that the journals provide at most information required for solving entry puzzles, and information that is helpful or alongside, maybe. Just to okay. So the journals provide at most information required for solving entry puzzles, alongside information that is helpful but not essential for the agents themselves, which is good game design, because you shouldn't be expected to go out and just have notes and screenshots for everything that is in the journals. Like, it's kind of helpful, like especially for a game like this, to have to actually be taking notes. Although again, it's kind of difficult in VR. Again, no idea if there are features within the VR edition that actually allow you to take screenshots outside of stuff provided by the operating system itself. Looking at the game as I see it so far, there's no screenshot filter or feature at all. Although I could have sworn that the version I saw that the devs playing had one, but maybe that's just their version. They have a feature for taking screenshots, which is useful for them, for promotional purposes, or for seeing a bug and getting a picture of the bug, a visual glitch or something, and you need to make a note of, okay, like this is a little janky. Anyway, the other information positive would be for Ward, basically. Sure what their mother is, if Catherine's mentioned a lot in the journals. Like, most of these are positive. Like, I'm pretty sure this game, even if I weren't to wait to the positives and negatives, I feel like there would be I might try weighting them just to get a feel for like how I would weight positives and negatives. I'm still a little iffy on it. Like, for this game, I definitely feel like this is going to get a, if I were to make my notes into a score for the game, it would be overwhelmingly positive. Like, I think most of the negatives would probably only be a 1 or a 2. Like, I know how I weight things. I mean, I already mentioned, but for people who are just tuning in here at this point, my current idea is to weight each positive and negative on a scale of 1 to 3. Just to keep things simple, just to you know, because otherwise, like, if I was going like 1 to 5 or even 1 to 10, I probably would be overwhelmed trying to figure out, okay, like, where on the scale is exactly on the scale is this negative or positive. So just to have like a 3, like, okay, it's minor, doesn't really affect a whole lot, or it's significant but not that significant, or it is like really significant, like it's really good or really bad. Like, it's simple enough. It runs the gamut. It gives me a very, really bad, or kind of bad, sort of bad. I don't know, like, not too bad, bad, and really bad, basically. Like, nice to have, good, and really good. But that's starting to get a little more into, like, subjective, whereas I'm trying to make the system somewhat objective. It's built around my own subjective idea of what good game design is, but it's also a well-constructed framework. It's again, for people just tuning in, I recently like come up with the idea of reviewing games, kind of inspired by a Twitch streamer / YouTuber called The Lore Runner. He reviews his games based on gameplay and story. I'm adapting his and uses like positives and negatives, and then sort of at the end he kind of adds it up and is like, okay, is this altogether more negative than positive, or is it altogether more positive than negative, or is it kind of just in between, kind of neutral? He doesn't like come up with any kind of final score or anything exactly per se, but because like one game could have a ton of positives and a ton of negatives, another game could have just a few positives and a few negatives. So just because a game doesn't have a whole lot of positives doesn't mean that it's has like 20-some positives and another game that only has like 5. Doesn't mean that the game that only has 5 positives is worse than the game that has like 20 positives. It just means that the game that has 20 positives is more dense. It has more points to bring up. Heck, MYST is actually kind of dense compared to Mass Effect. Just because, like, Mass Effect is an action game, or is an action RPG, basically, and they're just... we take care of the gameplay. I don't think I have a lot to say about the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is easy to take for granted. I mean, this is a lot easier game to review. I'll say it because I mean, one, we can sit back and just... I can sit back and take it in. It's a lot less, there's no danger around every corner, so I can just kind of sit back, think about the puzzle I just experienced, and be like, okay, is this good or is it bad? What makes it good? What makes it bad? Like, I have the time to, like, go and, think about how it's designed, whereas, I'm going through combat in Mass Effect, and is it good, is it bad? Like, it's good. I can't really quantify why it's good, because it just kind of is. Like I think emergent gameplay is harder to review than as it were, is harder to review than something like this, which is very much static for the most part. I mean, there's a randomization system that only does so much. It only really tests your familiarity with the mechanics of the puzzles rather than remembering the solutions themselves. Which is, I'm just gonna say it's neutral. Although I think I gave it a positive, so it is definitely a positive. It's just, I guess, like on if I were gonna weigh these as I was speaking about, I would probably give it a 1 because it's a nice feature to have. It doesn't really add a lot to the experience, at least for a veteran. A MYST veteran is probably not going to be that impressed per se by the randomization. It's going to be like there to offset the fact that you may have all the solutions memorized, but it won't change the fact that you have all the ways to reach the solution memorized. It just means you actually have to go through the steps of like using the tower rotation, for example, because you don't know what the numbers are. So I would imagine that the probably there are a few puzzles that are probably going to be enhanced a little bit by it. So I might elevate it to a 2, maybe. There's 2 puzzles I can think of offhand that would be enhanced. The first one that I solved on my first try accidentally, so I can't really measure it. Please, people, if you care at all about like trying to make my review work, try to explain the actual mechanics of the clock tower puzzle, like what you think about it. I might look at some of the articles that are apparently spread out about it and see. Because I did like see some articles on, so maybe I'll go and read those before like doing like my final review. Because I know like one is a mathematical proof of how the puzzle is impossible, which is kind of weird because the puzzle is clearly possible, even in the original game. Like it might be a little tricky in this version because it could literally, based on how the randomization operates, it could literally be impossible. But and the same goes for this one of the selected gauge entry puzzles. Is they have to be a little more clever than just using a random number generator. Like it has to be a combination, or I guess both involve combinations of a sort. And again, I wish I could watch that freaking commentary video, but apparently they still haven't posted it. I think they did it for like Gamescom or something. I don't know if Gamescom has some kind of exclusivity agreement, or I have no clue. This is like really pretty, and it kind of gives you some idea of like what things are going to be like in the age itself. Or as I think in the original game, it was just like a single, like a little compartment. Huh. I'm pretty sure this is a glitch. Linking panel isn't showing anything. I should recommend put that down in my notes because it's literally just a glitch. Like it has to be a glitch. It is a game breaking. It'll be interesting if I ever get to like a intensely glitchy game, if I'm going to like factor that into my review. Because that's something I kind of... Oh. Well, now we'll get to test autosave. I may actually have to make that into a negative, but I may actually have to test my whether or not I'm going to consider. I could swear I was able to skip these before. So okay, hopefully this autosave is before the bug, or will offset the bug. I don't know. Actually, I'm right in front of the freaking book. Oh, there we go. Okay, I might actually give it a positive for. This should probably be control, even though it's out of the player's control. It's not really information. It would be more under control, if for any other reason than. I also would say that like this would, under the um hopefully it still seems a little buggy. Oh god. I'm gonna try to link through it right away before the video bugs out and see if that fixes it. Otherwise I still can give it a positive of sorts for a good autosave, but um I have to scratch the fact that it saved me from a game breaking bug. Like this is literally game breaking. Um if it isn't directly tied to the video getting weird. It may actually be a video file. Okay, it did save me from it, so I can keep that note there. Um, I may still make a note because it happened twice. Um, this is not like information or control. It's just a note. Um, I think that autosave is a form of control, positive, because it basically eases the responsibility of the player to control their save habits. Um, leave them free to just explore and play the game without having to worry about saving you know, every few seconds or every milestone that they reach in the game. I mean, there's a way around it, so I would consider it to be worthy of a negative. I actually almost feel like glitchiness should probably be considered its own category of negative. Like, if I'm going to get into it, it probably is going to be like a glitch negative. And glitches will always be negatives. I mean, I don't know, it can be fun if this becomes like a third wheel, though, because glitches can be interesting and fun sometimes. Like the glitch where you can put like a basket over an NPC's head in Skyrim would potentially get a positive, or just because it's fun and you have to kind of it's more of an exploit than a proper glitch. Like it doesn't really ruin immersion because objects aren't just going to randomly fall onto an NPC's head. You have to go out of your way to do that. So, like NPCs going weird or physics going weird in the game, like it can be funny to see and may not always break the actual game in terms of gameplay, but I'm not sure if I'd be willing to give those things a positive, like even as a joke, because some people may prefer immersion over just random jankiness. And random jankiness only gets you so far in terms of like a game being fun. And it's definitely not a fun glitch, but I don't know if it's again, I can't say if it's deserving of a negative because I mean the game literally just came out like yesterday or the day before yesterday. And maybe it's a bit lenient when it comes to bugs. Okay. I'm not sure. I think Channelwood may have been one of the ages that in the original Real Mist, or in one version of Real Mist anyway. That's interesting. So this is literally just a, well, yeah, this is. I'm not sure what to think about this. This is pretty much a VR thing. Because originally it was just like you look down at it and you have a little valve. And now, like, not only does it stick out like a sore thumb, but I kind of get it for like VR because you don't want like to have to kneel down and like move the valve. It's just like I'm interactable. I'm not sure if I give a positive to this. I mean, I've given a positive to some of the other. Um, it does make it a lot more obvious where the actual interactable flow regulators are. Because not like every single intersection, like right here, there's no flow regulator. It's just that I don't think they look that great. But that's just like my opinion, man. I'm not sure whether to give them a positive for like making it more clear this is supposed to be interactable. Like I think there are enough clues in the original game that it wouldn't be a negative that it's not there. Granted, I don't know if I would have given a negative to the original game for not making everything plain and obvious. But I especially would not give this these a negative for not being plain and obvious and not having something like literally sticking out of them. I'm not sure whether or not to make this a note. Again, because it's not very aesthetically pleasing. I'm sorry. It just looks kind of obscene in a way. like not in a get my mind out of the gutter way. It's just kind of maybe a little bit in a mind out of the gutter way, but like it's not like that phallic. It's just obscene for how out of place it feels. Like I'm not sure if it feels out of place because um of uh like I'm trying to wrap my head around whether or not it feels out of place because it's different from the original game, or if it feels out of place because of something I can look at objectively and say this is there's something about the way it is designed that just feels weird, and I do think that I can't deny that there's at least an aspect of the design just feeling weird and ugly. And I'm not sure, like, again, if I'm gonna weigh the negatives, like, even if I'm not, like, one negative for this would not really way too heavily against the final conclusion that this game is overwhelmingly good and well designed. I mean, as I said before, like even before when it was review system, it's more about the ratio of positives and negatives than the actual raw numbers. It's just that if I have any case for weighing positives and negatives, this would be it. This is a very minor negative. It doesn't affect gameplay that much. It actually helps, even ignoring VR. Um, I was wondering if any of these agents have day to night cycles. I don't think they do in this version. I think the reasons may range from just um, uh, aesthetics, like from just being true to the original game, being true to, or just uh, that's probably like the major one because there was no day to night cycle in the original game, and the only way to I guess aesthetics is another thing, so you can like really control the lighting and make it look nice without having to worry about the position of the lighting constantly changing um, based upon the position of the sun. The other thing is that this is meant to be kind of more realistic, so um, having a planet that is just like spinning a lot faster, maybe with faster day to night cycles. I mean, you could kind of justify it, but I'm sure there's some science to. Well, there's definitely some science to the fact that like having very short day to night cycles on a planet is probably going to be, um, particularly like in the range that most video games would do. Like a day like lasts like maybe half an hour at you know I'm not quite sure like what the average day cycle is in video games, but um, like a planet where like its day to night cycle is that short would probably, if there isn't any physical like issues with like gravity or centripetal force or you know it does look like there's some like I think like the fog in Channelwood. Like I think there's kind of a bit of weather systems going on here because like the fog is getting like, kind of more dense occasionally. I don't think the sun's moving, but still. But like that's kind of a neat detail. I'm not sure if it's positive or negative for me, but this I'm debating. Maybe someone could tell me in chat or I mean I'm probably vastly overthinking the virtues of day to night cycles with regard to a game being realistic. I might I think I'm gonna at least give a positive to the fog effects in Channelwood. I'll just find it because it looks like it rather than information positive. Um, okay, so I noticed the fog effects in Channelwood are absolutely breathtaking and dynamic in a manner that not the actively alters scenery over time. Like they use like volumetric fluidic fog in simulations or whatever. It's neat and it looks really nice. So you can see there's some natural animals. Wow. That's a neat surprise. Actually added some life to it. This definitely would be the one age where it would chug if I weren't using DLSS. I don't know if I did the right thing in there. I'm pretty sure I did. Because the sound design seems to be indicating that like the water isn't actually flowing yet. Ah, pipe water flowing. Okay, I might need to actually turn that off. At least for now. Because yeah. Gameplay context, so I'm gonna give a information positive here. Although I'm definitely used to the original sound like that. I don't know. But this is definitely a different sound effect than the original. I kind of prefer the original, but whatever. I might call it tinkly. I'll eventually comment on how they're distracting if you're not hearing impaired. Because I think they're primarily intended for the hearing impaired. It was just useful for the mechanical age, and probably it'll be somewhat useful for the Celentic age as well. Which is the Celentic age, as from my memory anyway, entirely based on, almost entirely based on sound. I actually wonder how they would do the like with accessibility functions. It makes me a little more curious about the. I imagine that the piano puzzle probably is just going to have like sound effects for like. I don't know. I suppose like that is. I don't know, I'm still curious as to whether or not they're going to change it. So is it flowing down this way by default? It looks like it is. I'm not sure where I need it to go. Oh, it's going here. And that's not helping anything. This is just a door, so it's probably locked. I'm not sure why there's a thing here for the water. I guess if you there's a little bit of an undercurrent of the original sound in there too. There's definitely like gives more of a feel of flowing water rather than just sort of bubbly, tinkly sound as I call it. Okay, so it's not going down in this way, it's going down this way. I think the fog also helps emulate the way you can get lost in the stage. It is kind of a maze. Also, I think I could give it as a positive because it definitely makes it a lot more clear where the water is actually flowing to. Because yeah, like it's not pointing in that direction. So that probably would be a control positive. Well, information. It's more information. Like it helps you control it. It's a matter of the control, but and it helps. It makes control better, but particularly for VR. Um, but it's largely information. At least, and we're reviewing this version and not the VR version. So there. I mean, I can only imagine how much better it is in VR, or how much improvement it is in VR. And I mean, I can imagine it pretty well, but it's mostly information. I also mention that there's also make a note of how like yeah, like I can just mention that they're a bit of an eyesore, but they also help provide a better indication of where you're making the having the water flow. It's like this one is flowing here where we may want it to go anyway. So it's interesting. You're not actually. I don't think. Well, most of it isn't like all. There's also a map that I probably could have drawn or taken at least taken a picture of. But this place is a fair amount easier to navigate in in 3D than slideshow. You ought to give it a positive for doodads. Not all of them are interactive, but I probably would have favored more interactive doodads, actually. I would have also liked some hints of a civilization that used to be here. Beyond just, like, it being completely abandoned. This is like, there was, like, some monkey people or something that lived here. I can't remember what this is supposed to do. I think it might require power or something. I hope they finally put this out on, like, modern consoles too, because I mean, so far we just have the real MYST for Real MYST Masterpiece Edition for Switch, which I do own. I haven't played it yet. I'm not sure if I'm gonna play it now. I mean, I might fool around with it just to see how much it might make use of a touchscreen. I hope it's just gonna work. But you can unlock the door, which is good game design, I think. Although this has a fair chance of making you feel dizzy, especially if you're. I think an elevator takes you up to the linking book. And locate where our now there's a bridge we're supposed to extend somewhere. I should make a note about the frogs. I mean, the actual valves and the direction they're pointing is a little ambiguous. I thought it might be a little overdone. I think there's another thing you need to do. Oh, I think it's just manual. Fireflies are cool too. I wish they were part of the original. You need to get power to this thing. Yep, there we go. Like I said, the big Channelwood, you can't really randomize Channelwood at all, because you can randomize, you can procedurally generate different layouts, maybe, for like the wood planks. Like, that's the only thing I could think of. Even though it wouldn't really be testing your knowledge of MYST, it would just... I feel we need to mess with that one. We just need to... Yeah, this is the... That's neat, there's like a weight hanging down there. Because the elevator's already up. I don't know if there's a way to actually recall it. Like if we had power here. I don't know if this is the way to Sarah Snackar's chambers or not. Like, it might require something else. I think it'll be like the one-way age where you can find the way out before you find the pages. Which isn't really bad game design, it's just... We'll see. Yep, this is the linking book. I'm not sure if this is the only age where getting to the pages is a particularly. Actually, I think it might be because I think Selecting Age is pretty easy to find the pages. They're just sort of lying around. The Mechanical Age, you do have to go out of your way and explore to find where the pages are, but um, there's no like actual mechanic for finding them. Oh, would speak. I think speaking a control positive maybe for like well designed. Um, I mean, again, I think at this point I probably have to weigh things just to make the game not as overwhelmed. Like, I mean, we definitely add more positives, but it would also, I don't know. that that Channelwood gotta be specific because I'm not like dividing notes into like this is Channelwood. This is actually be interesting if I did divide positives up into different ages to like just determine like which ages are the best designed or have like or even the most densely designed. Because that could like actually like, rank the ages. Granted, I don't mention a whole lot about visual design in these two, so I mean some of them I do like. Anyway, I'm just gonna say it's interesting. It yeah, another thing that kind of elevates the stage over the others. It's also again is the only age where they couldn't really use RNG. Okay, gotta find spiral stairs. Where do we put the spiral stairs? I don't think it's across the, couldn't be across this. Like, it isn't necessarily more complicated to. Okay. It's right freaking there at the beginning. I was afraid of going too far back. I'm not quite sure what this lever does. Does it just open this door? It might. It might be required to open this door, which is interesting. Like, could I close it too? And see if I actually notice that the door opens or closes? I mean, there's a degree to which I'm probably gonna say this is at least roughly as complicated as figuring out how to get to the linking books is finding where the pages are. I just call it an extra layer challenge. Huh? Why? It's literally frozen up. Not crashing, it's frozen. Let it go, let it go. We're gonna test the autosave again, I guess. Can you see if it's not responding? I mean, it's plain to see it's not responding. I mean, it's not like not responding, it's just frozen, so it's going to be a game-breaking bug if it repeats. Also, the inability apparent inability to skip past the opening will go is again, this might be another area where I should probably weight things. Like, not everything that deserves to be weighted, but This also is just a way to kind of give a negative for bugs by pointing something as always going to be true. Let's see if the autosave system is going to save us again. Okay. So yeah, that might be another point to the autosave system. Okay. Whoa. A negative for doodad placement. Wow. Holy floating doodads. They're like attached to the drawer. Are they supposed to be? I think they're supposed to be inside the drawer. Yeah, they're supposed to be inside the drawer. And they're not. This is the magic of MYST. Okay, I think we can collect multiple pages. That might, if we do decide, oh my god, it's throughout. This is Sirius's because it's the red page. I'm just gonna make this a point, because again, I'm not necessarily gonna give negatives to things that aren't game breaking. Very odd visual glitch. Hopefully that's what is causing the game to freeze up. This could also be a random glitch, I imagine. Like if I were to and then there's the should this be negative? Like the fact that you can't. I mean, this game does not have a proper inventory system, so that could also potentially be a negative. But you know, it has a little bit of an inventory system in this version with the ability to pick up multiple pages, even across ages for that matter. But like when I played this last time with Real MYST Masterpiece Edition a couple years ago, I literally just sort of like I already knew the gist of what it was, but I was trying to be like kind of faithful to the experience. And I just wrote down, what was on each side of it as a note. And I guess you could take a screenshot and then just go back and forth between the screenshots and try and piece them together mentally. I probably would say this is an information negative because it's kind of control, but it's largely, again, like if I were to try and weight these, this would be a 1. But there's definitely an argument made for not weighting them, because sometimes I would try to go too far to balance the scales. Like, that's another concern I kind of have. Is that, oh, this game has too many negatives. I need to, like, tone down the slider for the negatives. But I just agree to which I think I can be kind of a little objective. Like, and again, we're not playing the VR version, so I feel like the amount of consideration I need to make for VR, like I've already. I wonder if I should give it a information negative if I haven't already. Oh yeah, there already is a information negative for the lack of a built-in camera feature. So this is just an extension of that. So we're safe. We don't, no more negatives. Although this would be a good example of particularly how, you know, making note-taking a bit more so the question is, the question still remains to some extent whether or not this in particular is worthy of a negative. Because the fact of the matter is, you cannot collect these two pieces and put them together in-game. And, like, realistically, you should. Like, you know, if you were really in MYST, you would have the ability to pick up these sheets of paper and then literally piece them together rather than being required to take notes or screenshots or what have you to put the two halves together and figure out what this is referring to. But anyway, just what these two pieces are saying is that you need to turn on all the switches on the island and locate them. Then you have to go back to the very first one that you near the gear gate. Or it could be the actual gear gate. We'll see. Like, maybe the actual where the vault is randomized. Because that's one thing that I kind of thought about with regards to randomized. Like, we'll see. Because that is something they could randomize. Is which... Like, you have to turn on all the switches first. And turn them on. I'm assuming on. Although it'd be funny if it could either be off or on. So you have to make them all off and then just... I don't think that would work because, like... I mean, I guess I could work considering, like, the tower rotation. Whatever. If it doesn't work, then for either of the locations, either the original location or the possible new random location, I'm just going to write down... There's a question of whether or not this deserves a negative just for the inability to grab both of them and combine them. I could just make it into a plain note and not give it necessarily a negative. I probably would consider this to be a control negative, potentially. I mean, this could be, you know, a minor point. Because, I mean, the information is there and presented well. So, like, also my camera somehow, I think maybe when I grabbed the book, it nudged the camera accidentally. The inability to, I could make, like, all the reasons, or, like, write out all the reasons for, like, why it should be allowed. I mean, sure, developing an inventory system just for this was back then probably more tricky, but, like, now it still requires an extra bit of time and resources, and you're only using it for this one puzzle, which you can already resolve through, you know, note-taking and ingenuity and whatever have you. And you, like, realize that you can't collect it, so this isn't really an information negative at all. Because you can process the information or record the information in a more manual fashion, IRL, although it's still trickier in a VR setting, as I've already mentioned. But other, like, it doesn't even need to be like I mean, the way I would design it is basically that you collect the first note in the first stage that you the way I would design it within the framework of I might write this down. The way I would redesign it. You collect the first half. There you go. So it would effectively kind of be like, you know, the different pages as well. You still like tell that there's some fights and some chaos happening in here. You can tell that he likes luxurious things, especially wines. Put this behind me. As there's, you know, a bit of chaos in the corner here. He also likes curved daggers. I'm not sure if it's quite a scimitar. I don't think it would be considered a scimitar. I think there's a particular term for like a curved dagger. Like coinage or something. Or cookies. These are just cookies. He likes cookies. These might actually be cookies. Like, considering like there's some cheese there. I mean, come on. There's some expressiveness. But it's very, like, limited. Also, hi y'all! This is also a very weird place for a hologram projector. How do we manipulate this? Oh, there's like a button or something you could... They wouldn't like omit the other message entirely, would they? Maybe there's a control someplace. I guess we'll see. I think it was probably always different in oh, it's probably this thing. is Akonar's hut. Foreign language. It'd be cool if they could have done a phonetic for that presentation to.
I hope I pushed the right button, my dear brother. What a very interesting device you have there. I'm not erasing anything important in mind. Remember, he is preparing. Take only one page.
It's like, take only one page. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, were they responsible for taking the pages from the books and then spreading them throughout the ages? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm curious as to what the original intent was with regard to the story of what happened and how the pages got out here. Because they may not have, like, fully, I don't know, fleshed out how linking books work.
I hope I pushed the right button, my dear brother. What a very interesting device you have here. I'm not erasing anything important, am I? Remember, he is preparing. Take only one page, my dear brother. I hope I pushed the right button.
Okay. I should have like a bug counter on here. I think so far we've only encountered like 2 crashes at the same point. One's a replicated crash. Then one game freeze, one just oddity. I think all we need to do here is redirect the water. The other direction at one point. I'm not sure if I could call that a positive. I mean, it could have been intentional. Like, I imagine it potentially being intentional. That, like, if you're like me and you just discover the linking book first, you can just easily redirect it back. Have everything set up to get back to the linking book chamber. now we're finally going to test how the books work when you. Yep, you can. This is confirmed now. You can collect multiple pages of the same color, and it works exactly the way I predicted it would. Have you even put a third page on there? Oh, where is that note? Probably like really early on. It probably would be after Stone Ship. Squeezing it confirmed here. That's like really good. They have like proper inventory management here. I think maybe all I have to say about Channelwood. I'm also kind of hoping that it's going to be enough that my notes are just obviously written in a fashion where like I think the most difficult thing to parse out would be like things related to MYST Island or to the game overall.
You brought for me. Oh, I must have some more. I ask of you. No. Since my brother, Cirrus, wrongfully imprisoned me within this book. Stupid scheme. Pretty speech has been. Read which is endless. Be perfectly obvious to you. Evil and his destroyed all but four. Do not bring the red pages to him. You must let him trick you. Tricked our father. Hideously murdered our father. He'll trick you. He'll murder you. Don't touch the red pages. To bring the blue pages. Listen to me. Listen. You must obey me. Blue pages are my only hope. You must help me. You must help me. Oh, my friend. Thank you for bringing the blue pages. Listen. Convinced that Cirrus is guilty. Do not release him. Will destroy me. Just the innocent bystander have been wrongfully tricked into imprisonment. Confident you have observed his unbridled lust for riches. For remaining worlds. Some plot was almost perfect. Blow to father. He tricked him into believing that it was I who was the murderer. I did not murder father. Bring me the remaining blue pages, please. A liar. A fool must be freed. He must free me. I cannot bear it here for eternity. Free me. Pages.
Have returned. Additional page. From my prison on this forgotten island of MYST. I see that you are. I am called Sirius. I need all the red pages I need. Must search. Bring me. 2 more of the red. And I am released. I promise. Warn you, don't touch the blue pages. It's where my brother, wicked brother, he is a man of distorted mind and senses. He disgusts me. Do not release me. Thirst for destruction is none. Never ending. Bring the red paper. I beg you, please, release me from this prison. I promise you will be greatly rewarded. You must help me. I beg you to help me. Each page I can see you more clearly. Soon I will be free from this horrible prison, this book. You must visit the one remaining age which you have not. I am confident that clear to you that my brother Akhenaten is demented. He is guilty. He took advantage of the freedom our father had given us long. Akhenaten began to gain a twisted pleasure, conquest and destruction. I ask you again. Do not retrieve the blue pages. He will destroy both myself and you, just as he destroyed the other ages of MYST. I never will escape. To release me, you must simply bring the red page. And I will tell you the story that I, your wisdom, will see that I am innocent and he is guilty. This forgotten island belongs. I will owe you my life, and you will be greatly rewarded.
Yep. Sure I will. Okay, so last thing we're going to test is the marker switches, since we have seen both sides of it. So first we have to turn them all on, which we've already done. and turn one of them off. This is where the original vault was. Maybe it's actually randomized now. It freaked me out for a second there. I thought it was. Oh. Well, that's neat. I guess that makes sense too, because they don't want to have a lot of things where you have to like crouch down to grab something. So it's like the reason why the MYST book was floating. We could collect the white page now, but was faded. Okay. Interesting. So it's all black keys. It might just be a product of the random generation. I actually wonder if I should just get this out of the way, because this is the pretty much one of the hardest puzzles in the game, or at least the hardest entry puzzle. I don't want to make it so that like I'm dreading doing another installment. Although yeah, this is 2 parts. I forgot. Damn it. Like to even get into it, I need to solve yet another puzzle, which is a little more complicated. Like I could do some of the legwork maybe for apparently Windows 10 can be installed on other PCs, on older PCs, which may be good for me. Like this is a new PC, but Um, uh, the fact that yeah, I might have to. Well, actually, I'm probably still gonna keep playing this. Um, so if I have time, if I don't become too wrapped up in my Simulation Saturday game, um, I mean, technically, I still have to change the title, regardless of whether I'm changing it to Mist or changing it to Mass Effect. So I don't know. Maybe I'll play more Mass Effect this evening. Um, there's only 2 save slots. I mean, for a game like this, it's not like there's a lot of stuff that you. I still might consider it as a negative, though. Um, yeah, I think this could be like might be for VR kind of because having a ton of different save slots in the VR interface is going to be tricky. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a PC version. It does have it does have information. I might give it. I mean, not just doing this to balance it out, but like, I'll I'll give it a point for like showing the number of pages you collected so far. So it comes out to a neutral. I mean, that's one thing I can do is even if I don't have sight to weigh negatives and positives, I can at least come up with a positive to cancel out a negative. It's not really cheating because like I'm deciding where to put my positives and negatives. So anyway, you can mention in the comments if you would rather me play more Myst, although given how much viewership I've gotten for this, including people watching it the VOD too, apparently. Um, like I thank you for watching, regardless of whether you're watching live or watching after the fact. Um, this is proving to be fairly popular. Not a lot of engagement, but I appreciate the views. Um, you can, if you're inclined, you can um, check out my straw poll for what simulation game I will be playing this afternoon or potentially in future afternoons. Um, and there's a bunch of other things in the description if you're on YouTube or Facebook. But there's always a few little things you can do. I'll take a few seconds of your time. And other things that will take me just a little bit longer. And of course, it's all optional. But regardless, I thank you for watching. And until next time.